Let's talk about a single status affidavit here for a minute. My name is Rufus. I'm a notary dude here in Los Angeles, California. If you're going to be going to a foreign country, typically to get married, that foreign country wants to make sure that you are currently not in a relationship here in the U.S. So oftentimes what they'll do is they'll request a single status affidavit. What that basically is a letter that you need to type up that basically says I'm single, and you're going to swear to the truthfulness of that letter in front of a notary public, and that notary is going to notarize it. So, there seems to be some confusion about this because I often get calls to notarize single status affidavits, and they're asking me if I have the single status affidavit for them to sign. And that's not the case. This is what I usually suggest. You need to go to the foreign country who is requesting your single status affidavit, and you need to ask them what they need included on the single status affidavit. And then you do that in the letter that you type up for your affidavit. I don't think they have to be lengthy. I don't think they have to be, totally, completely, 2 pages long. I think you just cover the information they're requiring. They're probably going to ask you for your name. They might ask you for some sort of identification number, an ID or something like that. And they're probably going to ask you if you've been married before. If you have been married previously, they want information about the divorce, the separation, whatever it is. They might also require more information to put on there. So I always suggest, instead of guessing what they need, see if you can get a copy of one that has been done previously for that foreign country. Look, the foreign country is requesting it. They should be able to give you some information on what they want included on the single status affidavit. I've seen some that are simple. There's like 2 lines long. My name, Roberto Lopez. I have never been married, and they sign it. That's basically all. I don't know exactly what they need on the single status affidavit. Therefore, I usually suggest that you reach out to the country who's requiring it and see exactly what they need. That way you know that you're covered. For the single status affidavit to get it notarized, you're going to need a valid ID. And that ID is going to have to match up with the name that you're signing on that document. Otherwise, it cannot be notarized. So just make sure whatever name you put on the document matches up with your ID. Now, a valid ID is typically going to be a driver's license or a passport. So make sure you have one of those 2 IDs. It cannot be expired. It cannot be a picture. You cannot have a temporary card from the DMV. You need to have the actual license or passport in order to get it notarized. What is it going to cost? Well, here in California, the most a notary can charge you if you travel to them is $15. So $15 for the notarized affidavit. Remember, you need to provide the affidavit. The notary is not going to provide that. The notary will provide the paperwork needed to make it a legal notarization, which is most likely going to be a jurat. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. If they're requiring it to be apostilled, that means that once you get your single status affidavit notarized, you need to find a notary who can take it to the Secretary of State to get the apostille completed. Now, the apostille is just a second stamp that is going to be put on that notarization of your single status affidavit, and that's going to authenticate it. When it gets to a foreign country, they're going to accept it. So you need to ask the foreign country a couple things. Number 1, what needs to be on the single status affidavit? Number 2, does it need to be notarized? And number 3, does that notarization also need to be apostilled? So those are 3 things you need to ask, you need to find out before you're going to go to a notary for them to notarize it. My name is Rufus. I'm a notary dude here in Los Angeles, California. I do a lot of general notary work. I also process, a lot of apostilles. If you have any questions about an apostille and notarization, hit me up. My number is below.